Everyone wants to get shredded. Sub 10% body fat, abs popping, veins on your lower stomach, you know, that photo shoot look. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Getting that lean comes at a price that most people aren't prepared for. I've got to sub 10% body fat. I did it within 9 weeks. I went from here to here, and it was arguably the best I've ever looked. But there was a cost. My energy was shite. I had an obsession with food. My relationships became strained, and I had body image struggles. This video is about the real side of getting peeled and why for most people, it's not actually worth it. Right, so focus number one, let's talk about energy levels. When you're sub 10% body fat, you look fucking awesome. But to be honest with you, you feel like absolute shite. You feel like you're constantly running on empty and you're lacking energy. Your body's essentially fighting you every single step of the way because biologically, your body doesn't want you to be this lean. When I was prepping for my photo shoot, my calories were so low and I was still pushing myself with my training, with my cardio, with my steps, and I was literally running on empty. I felt absolutely cooked 90% of the time. Sleep gets disrupted even though you're exhausted. You wake up groggy, and when your testosterone and your leptin levels drop, your body becomes even less efficient. So you're hungrier, more fatigued, and moodier. I remember when I was sitting at sub 10% body fat, I'd finish a heavy session and I'd feel absolutely incredible afterwards, all for about 10 minutes. And then I'd crash. Half the time, I couldn't even be asked to talk. My brain just didn't want to engage. So yeah, if you want to get to sub 10% body fat, great, but just be aware that you're going to have the energy of a sloth. Right, topic number two, let's talk about relationships. Now, this is the part that no one really talks about enough when it comes to getting super lean. And the fact is, your relationships suffer. Well, mine did anyway. When your energy's low, you've obviously got less to give, both emotionally and mentally. You're less patient, you're less present, and you're more easily frustrated by things that wouldn't normally faze you. I noticed that I was more withdrawn around my girlfriend, around my family. I didn't really have the capacity to be present because I was so focused on training, when the next meal was, had I got my steps in, had I done my cardio. You kind of just feel like you're in and around these people and you're just existing in the room. You're not actually present. And it's not like you want to be like that. It's just you don't really have the energy to be like anything else. If you want to get to 10% body fat, you essentially become consumed by your plan. Your macros, gym, cardio, steps essentially becomes your whole entire world. And the people around you, they either have to accept that or they're going to feel pushed away. Now, moving on from relationships with people, let's talk about relationship with food and how this is impacted when you're trying to get to sub 10% body fat. I'm speaking from personal experience throughout this video, and my relationship with food got very, very obsessive. I found myself every single night before bed scrolling Instagram and TikTok, looking at cheat meal ideas that I would absolutely demolish once I got to sub 10% body fat. It was extremely obsessive. I'd be sending Emma various places like, we got to check this place out, we got to go here. My TikTok and Instagram algorithm was just full of cheat meals. So not only are you thinking about all this food that you could be eating, literally 99% of the time, but with regards to the food that you are eating, your meals get slower. You chew slower to make it last longer. And your whole day essentially ends up being planned around food, and you just don't stop thinking about food. And then let's talk about eating out. For me personally, I had one off-plan meal per week, and I still do that now, but I'm very much more flexible in and around what I have when I am on plan. When I was on plan to get to sub 10% body fat, the meals were so small and I was having such little calories by the end of it. If I was asked to go on a meal out when it wasn't an off-plan meal time, I'd be like, holy shit, I can't actually do that. And like, even if you could keep it to a point whereby you were only going over by like 100 calories, if you did have to go out for like an occasion, in your head, yes, it's only 100 calories, but you're thinking, fucking hell, I was only meant to have this many calories, but I've gone 100 calories over. And you start panicking in your head that essentially all your progress is going to be ruined, which is ridiculous. Again, I'm only speaking from personal experience, but getting that lean isn't really healthy. And if I'm honest with you, my relationship with food has only just really recovered. It's taken a good solid few months to finally break away from that obsession with every single calorie that I'm eating. Now let's move on to the next topic, and this one's pretty crazy because I was arguably in the best shape I'd ever been in when I was photo shoot lean. Like, I looked incredible. My abs were popping, I had striations that you could see, my veins were popping, I looked awesome. But for whatever reason, I experienced a high level of body dysmorphia when I was that lean. Even though I knew I looked shredded, I was so critical of myself. If I was having a rest day and perhaps I looked a little flat and perhaps I didn't look as pumped as I would do on a training day, I'd look at myself and think, fucking hell, you actually look like shit. Which is absolutely mind-boggling considering I was in the best shape of my life. I recall the time when I'd done my photo shoot. I actually did my photo shoot in and around Christmas. And on Christmas Eve, me and Emma got a takeaway and I did overindulge a little bit. Bear in mind, this was only like 3 or 4 days after the shoot, so I was still absolutely shredded. And I remember on Christmas Day, I went to the gym and trained with my brother, and we got home and I asked him to take a topless photo of me, because in my head, I was convinced that I'd put on fat from that takeaway I'd had the night before, which is absolutely ludicrous. I know, it's absolutely pathetic. But in my head, I looked at myself and I thought, wow, I look like I've put on body fat, even though I know that is not possible. Your mind plays tricks on you. And obviously, once I've looked at the photo, I was like, mate, I look fine. What's the issue? My point is, because you get so lean, you almost become extremely obsessive with any little flaw in your body, any bit of bloating, if you look a little flat. Chest doesn't look as pumped as it normally does. It is ridiculous. Getting that lean essentially becomes addictive, and not in a good way. You chase the absolute leanest version of yourself, and then anything away from that, you kind of just feel out of shape. Now let's talk about what guys actually want. You know, when you say you want to get shredded, you want to get the abs, you don't want to get to sub 10% body fat. Believe me, getting to sub 10% body fat and getting photo shoot lean is completely different to getting lean for holiday and having your abs showing. Literally every one of you watching this video does not need to get to sub 10% body fat to look and feel incredible. For pretty much everyone, 12 to 15% is the sweet spot. You'll still have abs, you'll look athletic, you'll be strong in the gym, your clothes will fit fantastically well, and you'll actually be able to enjoy your life. You can go out for food, have a few drinks, and still perform well in the gym, and you won't feel like your whole life revolves around macros and lighting. That's the physique that most guys are chasing. So, is getting to sub 10% body fat worth it? Would I recommend doing it? Let me be clear, I am not saying don't do it. There is value in getting to sub 10% body fat and being absolutely shredded. It proves something to yourself, and you get to see what you're really capable of. And if you accomplish it, you know that you've set a goal and you've stuck to it, which is extremely empowering. But just be aware that if that is your goal, know what you're signing up for. For me, I'm extremely glad that I did it, because I got some awesome photos, and the challenge itself tested me mentally. And once I'd done the shoot, I felt incredible and I felt on top of the world, because I knew that I'd set out to achieve something and I did it. But I wouldn't want to live at sub 10% body fat. And I can safely say that I feel so much better sitting around 12 to 15% all year round. So if you ever wanted to get shredded and get to sub 10% body fat, I hope that this video has given you a more honest picture of what it's actually like to get to sub 10% body fat. There is more to fitness than getting to extremely low body fat percentages. You can look absolutely amazing and in incredible shape without going to the extreme. Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the video and have taken away some value from it. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.